Hi everyone, today I'll be discussing the hygiene hypothesis and why we should be concerned about the rise of allergies and illness in our populations. We'll focus on Salmonella in relation to asthma. So germs are everywhere. We've lived among bacteria for thousands of years, so why are we suddenly so worried about coming into contact with it? It seems like our society is becoming obsessed with cleaning. Over the past 50 years, our rates of allergies and autoimmune disease have increased at an alarming rate, and researchers want to know, is there a correlation between cleanliness and illness? Let's take a look at the hygiene hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, we've removed the exposure necessary in developing a regulatory and functional immune system. This means that when we become sick, we are not able to fight off infection or build a new resistance to bacteria. There are some bacteria we like to limit our exposure to, particularly the ones which cause significant rapid illness, like Salmonella. Salmonella can cause nausea, diarrhea, fever, and vomiting. No wonder we're so scared of it. Then, how can the hygiene hypothesis be supported when bacteria like Salmonella can cause such violent illness? The answer doesn't come from contracting the illness itself, but from how our immune system reacts to the bacteria. Let's look at an immune disease as an example. Asthma is a chronic inflammatory disease of the airway, causing symptoms such as shortness of breath, coughing, or wheezing. These symptoms show no set pattern and can vary in severity between each episode. It is the inflammation of the airways and lungs which make breathing difficult during an asthmatic episode. When the airways become inflamed, this is when it becomes more difficult for individuals to breathe and intake adequate amounts of air. Asthma affects 3 million Canadians and is the #1 chronic condition for children. It can be controlled by limiting exposure to trigger allergens and through the use of medications. These can both be difficult to monitor, especially in younger children. So is maintaining a sterile household the answer? Well, a study recently published explains how the introduction of bacterial infection, such as Salmonella, actually reduces the likelihood of developing asthma. The reasoning for this is that Salmonella infection helps develop the immune system response. A side note about the study, it was done with lab rats, so we can't use humans in experimental studies for many reasons, a major one being ethical grounds. We need to develop primary testing in order to remove the major risks from the study so that it respects human rights. So back to the study. How does this all work? The T helper 2 cells, which we'll call the bad guy cells, produce I4. The myeloid immune cells, which we'll call hero cells, regulate the bad guy cells' production of I4. Too much I4 creates inflammation. Less I4 produced means less inflammation, and thus the asthmatic reaction is lowered because of the developed immune response. This is how the body creates the immune response. The bad guy cells produce I4, or the inflammation. When the hero cells outnumber the bad guy cells, we'll have less I4, or inflammation, produced. The less inflammation produced, the less severe the asthma attack will be. The hero cells are created through exposure to bacteria, which in this case was Salmonella. So, the reduction in inflammation is key in mitigating asthmatic episodes. During an asthmatic episode, 80% of inflammation can occur, which makes it difficult to breathe. With the introduction of the hero cell, inflammation can be reduced back to a normal rate. This study supports claims that exposure to a greater number of bacteria does in fact help develop our immune systems. This development is important for the regulation of chronic illness and conditions associated with immune health. But there is a conflict. We want to be clean, just not too clean. So what is the bottom line? We're still not certain, but let's use some common sense. Wash your hands before and after eating, preparing food, and after using the washroom. Let's maintain proper hand washing with regular soap to minimize the chance of spreading unwanted illness. Limiting our exposure to sterile environments will allow our bodies the chance to develop our immune systems and could lower the chance of asthma in our populations. So in exposing ourselves to new bacteria, we can help to fully develop our immune systems and lessen the incidence of inflammatory diseases such as asthma in our populations. Thank you for listening to my talk, and here are a list of some of my resources.